Hello, hello. We are here on a Monday, which we're not usually here on Mondays, but we're here with a special guest, Lesley Francis. Now, we've had Lesley on the show a few times because Lesley is the host of Astro Soup, and we're kind of doing a series where we get to know Lesley, who is the host of Astro Soup, what makes her tick, all that kind of stuff. So, we're going to grill Lesley. We know Debbie's here watching. Debbie, if you have any questions that come up you want to ask Lesley, just
Hi,
drop
Debbie.
it in the chat. I don't think you and Debbie have met before.
No, but she's come to some of the podcasts and so
Debbie's
no.
awesome. All right. Well, let's just start with some surface stuff here. Let's just get warmed up. Okay. So, what earrings are you wearing anyway?
I'm wearing my Saturn earrings.
Oh, interesting. Why'd you choose Saturn?
Well, it's a travesty on the moon's day, but they went best with my jacket. See my jacket.
That is such a cute jacket. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Which okay, so that leads me to the first question, which is what are your favorite colors?
You would never know it from my wardrobe because I wear a lot of black. But actually, purple and turquoise, very Aquarian colors.
Yeah, they say turquoise is definitely an Aquarius color. Purple, I'm not sure where that I don't
Well,
necessarily.
I do have a moon Jupiter,
Oh, okay.
right? Isn't purple associated with Jupiter?
I don't know. I always thought it was orange, but astro and color theory. I don't know that we'll ever arrive on some color. You know.
Well, I think you should just pick what you vibe to. That's my overall attitude.
Okay. So I think turquoise looks great. You have blue in your background on your walls, so that looks nice behind you. Um, what are your favorite animals other than Merlin, of course? Hi, Merlin.
Wow. I love kitties and I love Merlin, and I'm just sorry that I haven't met him in person yet.
I'll bring him to Norwalk.
I'm sure he'd enjoy that. Like, all these people, get them away from me. Anyway,
He loves astrology.
um,
You know that. Okay.
favorite animals. That's a good question.
Didn't you tell me
Um,
much you like giraffes?
I don't remember.
Oh,
I mean, I did once work with the medicine cards by Jamie Sams and David Carson, and I did my totem animals, and quite a number of them I liked. I like, um, I wanted to say elephants, and I don't know where that came from. I like whales. I was a little disturbed when I discovered that my south animal was the mouse, because I thought, what? And then when I did the one that's the east was the whale, and the west was the possum. I'm thinking, I don't.
hmm.
Uh, crows. I like crows and
Oh,
ravens.
crows.
Um,
That's a sexy animal. Sorry, I said that.
you can say whatever you like. I just remembered the outfit I intended to wear, but forgot about. No,
Oh my god, I have a sweatshirt with a crow on it. Um,
no, because I just got a new shirt that has a leopard on it
oh, interesting.
because I do like cats of all kinds.
Yeah, Merlin
I don't
Trim.
necessarily want to meet them in the wild, but I
Yeah,
feel a resonance with them. And Merlin is wants to be the show.
it's true. I mean, I can't tell if he's a camera hog or if he's just attached to being right with me, but he
Probably.
definitely likes you. So Debbie loves giraffes. Okay, Debbie. Okay, okay. This I really need to know. Where do you get your nails done?
Oh, I have a person,
What you've
uh,
been how long going to her for a long? Well, I shouldn't assume it's a
20
female.
years. 20
20
years.
years.
Yeah.
Interesting. Let's see
Yeah.
your nails up close. So
That
how often do you get them done?
every 4 or 5 weeks.
Oh, interesting. And
Yeah,
how
but
long?
they're gel nails. That's not nail polish. So, and I don't do anything really physical with my hands, and so they tend to stay fairly pristine.
Yeah. Do you notice them being there, or are you so used to them that you don't really notice?
Well, I notice depending on what color they are, because sometimes I pick a color and then I think I'm not sure how I feel about that. It's weird because when it's the ones that I'm not that crazy about, I notice them more. It's so
Ah,
Saturn and Virgo. It's like not right.
interesting. So, wait, how long does a nails appointment last?
Wow, we're really getting into the important things in
I
life.
know, I'm just curious.
Well, it depends. I mean, because sometimes she and I get talking. Um, Hour and a half.
Oh, interesting. Okay, okay, we'll get to the important stuff.
Not that I mean, getting my nails is done is important because if it was up to me to do stuff like this, it would never happen. When I was younger and I tried, when there was just nail polish, and I tried, it was just like it would never be perfect enough for me, and then I'd get frustrated. It was
Mm,
the same as when I was younger and had to do my own hair and used to, put rollers in your hair. And at some point during the process, I would get mad and start throwing the rollers all over the bathroom because the things that, the things that are important.
interesting. Well, when am I getting my Astro Soup shirt that I get to wear when I talk to you?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know. I didn't even know that was on the
I
table.
want an Astro Soup shirt.
Okay, well, you just have to tell me what size you want, and I will bring you one. And then we know I'm going to have some at Norwalk as kind of like a test marketing thing to see with sayings on them. Shall I reveal what the T-shirts might say?
Tell us one. Tell us one.
Well, one is in my defense, the moon was full and I was left unsupervised.
That's so funny. Where's
Which
my
in my
laugh track?
case
Hold on. I gotta
applies even when the moon is not full.
my laugh track. Oh, that's so funny. I would
Look at the toys that you have.
I have a lot of toys around here. Okay. All right. So let's get to the meat of today, which is we're going to talk about your writing career. And I mean, you had a long career as a writer and a journalist, which I think obviously translates well to being a talk show host. I think the first question I want to ask is, do you enjoy writing?
Love it.
Love.
Well, sometimes, like I I wrote the 2019, 2020 Llewellyn Sunshine books, and I cleaned my office. Yay me!
Mm,
Anyway, so I actually just opened the book to see to read some of the things I've written, and it's so rewarding for me, and I still am a writer. Uh, I don't think that I'm ever going to leave that behind. If I have two passions in life other than meeting people and knowing people, one is astrology and the other is writing. So uh, my journalism career was really about me discovering that I was a writer. I
mm,
wouldn't necessarily like I am like a journalist. I ask a lot of questions, but I think that's just my natural curiosity, and so anybody who wants to try their hand at writing, I'm always open to supporting them and mentoring them. Because if it's something that calls you, whatever calls to you, find the people that share the same passions that you do, because those will be the people that truly support you
mm.
and truly, are there for you. And sometimes that means, I know I was once hired by someone to read a book that they had written, and it was a romance novel, and it's weird because all she did was focus on the things that I suggested could improve the book, and she didn't really focus on the part where I told her the writing was excellent. It's just that it needed further development. And the interesting thing about it is, depending on, I mean, some people just write for themselves, and that's wonderful. However, the truth is, if you're in a space and a place where you want to see anything that you've written be published, you have, but you run a publishing company yourself.
Mm,
They have to be open to hearing that some things need improvement. I mean, that's how I got to be a better writer, is
mm,
because I got to write all the time,
mm.
and I got to find out what my strengths were, and And I didn't mind being edited. I did mind it when people messed with my overall concept. And
Mm,
because journalists, and I might offend some people by saying this, but not all journalists are writers. That doesn't mean they can't write. It just means, to me, writing is, and I'm just talking about what it means to me. It means um, having. It's not just about a facts, which is probably one of the reasons why I'm no longer a journalist, because I was more interested in people than I was in what are the facts of the circumstance. And um, yeah, that's a deep subject, and I'm afraid I might get myself into trouble if I really express my opinion, because again, writing is to you whatever it means to you. It just means something different to me. To me, it's a practice. It's a profession. It's my heart. It not just my brain, but my heart.
mm,
Did
interesting.
any of that make any sense?
It all made sense. Debbie, did any of that make sense? Well, let's see. There's so much I could respond to there. I mean, I think the first thing I want to say is it's very surprising to meet somebody who truly loves writing, because most often I meet people who want to write a book but find it to be extremely daunting, or they want to write but they don't. I mean, it's rare to meet a person who says I love writing. So like,
Well, well, to be honest, sometimes in the middle of it, I don't love it at all. Because it is, well, no, because it's like anything else in life. No matter how passionate you are about something, you're not going to be passionate about 100% of the time. It really depends on, like after I wrote those two sun sign books, I could have continued, but it was quite exhausting.
mhm,
It was quite exhausting. And when I started writing it, I was like, because I'd been writing the predictions for the Llewellyn astrological calendar for a number of years,
mhm,
and I had all that background as a journalist. At first it was overwhelming to me, and so when the first one was published, I was so proud of myself, because I really there was a part of me didn't think I could do it,
mhm,
and the reason why it worked for me was because it was a project that someone else had presented to me, and so I understand the insecurities that people have and feel overwhelmed by the prospect of writing, and I totally understand it because I felt the same way. And I think that part of the challenge is realizing that the only way you're going to find out if you can do it is by doing it. And
mhm,
I didn't know that when I was younger. At the time, like I suddenly started writing a mystery novel last year, which I never thought I'd write fiction. So you just, you never know where it's going to take you.
mhm,
And what's hard sometimes though is for, like, I was fortunate enough to work in a situation. My career was that I got people reading my stuff all the time, whether it was the people that I worked with, the editors, whatever, or it was people on the outside
mhm.
who, and so sometimes it's hard to go, well, I really love to write. Do I have the courage to ask someone to read my writing to see what's there? Because
Mm,
sometimes you need encouragement. I
mm.
mean,
Yeah.
we both
Well,
think of the people who encouraged us to continue studying astrology when Tom. It's
mhm.
funny though. I never thought I would ever quit studying astrology.
You didn't quit studying astrology, did you?
No, no. I
No.
still think I'm a student, and I think that you know here's the interesting thing. I think there's a general consensus that if you're really good at something, you reach a plateau, and then there's nothing more that for you to grow with, to experience, to learn, and that's just. I mean, that just doesn't make any sense to me.
Mhm, mhm.
Um,
Yeah, of all the writers I've met, I feel like you have the most natural inclination to just flow ideas. I mean, when in working with you on the talk show, which is a form of writing, It's like every week we come back together and you'd have new epiphanies, new ideas. So as a writer, was it just kind of always easy to just flow? Were ideas always like coming to you in your sleep, or like how does that work?
Well, okay, so um, I, I was one of the happiest people when computers came along because I have a tendency to want to start in the middle and then grow from there. Just take, like, if I was interviewing somebody, I would take parts of what they had said and think that's really important, but it didn't really meet the criteria of, is this the beginning?
Mm.
Is this the beginning? And so, of course, when I first started, we used to write on pieces of paper that were like this, right?
Mhm.
Like made out of whatever that kind of paper is that you can easily throw away. Um, because we still had hot type in the newsroom. For anybody who doesn't know what hot type is, it means that all of the pages of the newspaper were done in metal and hot type.
Mhm.
And it wasn't until I'd been there for a while that we transferred to what we now call digital, right? So, and so I'd have a hell of a time starting because,
It's hard to start with an introduction. That's how we work here at the Moyer Press too. We write the body of the thing, and then once it kind of reveals what it is, then we go ahead and write the introduction paragraph. And that's a process we call concept editing. There's different editing processes. There's concept editing, then there's getting out the
well,
you know.
you might know more about that than I do,
Mm.
terminology, because I just developed it just came naturally to me. And there were lots of times when, like Fridays would be a big day for me. I might have a major deadline where I'd have to write essentially what was the entire front page of the Sunday Life section, and that was broadsheet.
Mm. Wow.
So, and I would wake up on Friday morning, and suddenly the beginning would come to me.
Wow.
And so I got really good at meeting deadlines and writing in a hurry.
Mhm.
And so, like for instance, when I was doing the Llewellyn Sunshine books, I was given the contract probably in June with my deadline supposedly at the end of February. And I would lay out all the stuff for the year, all the aspects of the months, all the things that were going on in the sky, and then probably in the summertime and let it percolate for a while. Now, in both instances, I did not start any serious writing until January, and I had a whole book to write.
Really? That's crazy.
So I think the second year, I think I wrote 85,000 words in 3 months.
You're crazier than I thought you were.
But that comes from practice. That comes from practice. But it also, and my editor the second year was flexible with me because whatever I edit as I go along. I
Mm.
my copy. If I don't like the way something sounds, doesn't mean I caught everything. But both she and the proofreader loved me because they just got to read. They didn't really have to do very much. But that also comes from, because I wasn't just a writer and journalist at the Edmonton Journal. I also was an editor of different kinds of pages and things. So um, I I'm sorry, I tend to downplay my own accomplishments.
Well, it makes me want to talk to you about your Saturn and Virgo because, having a Saturn and Virgo, talking to a chart that is writing and flowing. So what is that like? Is that you're constantly critiquing what you just wrote, or is it that sometimes you go through transits to it and then all of a sudden you're noticing all the things, or how does that work?
Well, no, because I would read as I went along.
Uh-huh.
Because if something didn't feel right to me, because I do have a Mars Neptune conjunction in the third house,
Mm-hmm.
and they're trying my plans in Aquarius. So if something didn't feel right to me, or I think, oh my God, I already used that word, I can't use the same word again in the same paragraph. I have to find a different word. Uh, it just came naturally. I didn't even have to think about it. It just came naturally.
Interesting. So, so you okay. So So the Saturn and Virgo didn't necessarily beat you up as a writer. It
Yeah,
kind of just refined
helped
everything
quite a
that
lot.
it helped.
Yeah, and that might be one of the few places that Saturn and Virgo was helpful
Yeah, yeah.
because
So
it was more part of the rhythm. And actually, I'm glad you asked that question because it kind of kind of reminds me that there are days of the week when perhaps I should view my Saturn and Virgo from a slightly different point of view.
yeah, yeah, you're kind of not so happy with your Saturn and Virgo most of the
Well,
time.
some days of the week, but as I vintage in life, I realized that um, actually I was even thinking about it today when I was taking off my I had to out and run an errand, taking off my boots as I'm rushing in the door so I can be here. I was thinking about the difference between the shoes I wear now and the shoes I wore when I was much younger, and I think Saturn and Virgo was much more in play.
No, were they more understated or what was?
Yes, they were more conservative. Let's just put it that way.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I see TikToks or like of women in your generation who are just like crazy style, like just the big glasses, and I feel like there's a certain kind of spicy lady who, like, as they get older, they just get wilder and wilder.
Well, I think it's because um, I think it happens probably after the around the second Saturn return, as you begin to feel like, well, to hell with what other people think, because I do it. And so I think it's a gradual process. I think that sometimes we tend to forget that life is fluid, and when it doesn't matter how old you are when you get to being who you want to be. So if you're the um, I don't know what else to say except that I've always loved clothes. Uh, I had two parents who loved clothes, so what chance did I have? I have Leo rising, so but um,
Debbie's saying, "Why not live it up?" You both are Pluto and Leo ladies, so I don't know. I just think
I agree, Debbie. And this is my idea of living it up is by letting Andy semi torture me.
oh, I'll torture you for as long as you'll let me. Okay,
Well, the problem is I do love talking, so if anybody invites me to talk,
yeah, I like when you talk. Okay, so let's actually talk about not talking, which is what do you do when you have writer's block?
um, good question. Well, for me, writer's block tends to come. I'll just move on. Like for instance, if I was doing when I was doing the Sunshine books, I'll just move on and write something else, and I'll come back to it.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I was doing some. As I said, I cleaned my office. I found some pieces that had written a long time ago. Some of them astrological. One was about not to give your favorite sun sign for Christmas. Made me laugh out loud. And then I found a piece that I wrote about Saturn and Neptune when they were conjunct in Capricorn,
Hmm.
and it said some of the same things. But at any rate, so what happens for me is if something's not working, I'll just move on and write, wherever in the process. Like for instance, when I worked at the Journal, if the what we called the lead, the opening paragraph wasn't coming to me, I would start writing over there, or I'd get to a place where I felt kind of stuck, and I knew there was something that needed to happen there, but it wasn't making itself obvious to me. I would just go and write somewhere else in the article.
Hmm.
That sometimes um, that's my process. I think it's very. I'm trying to think if I've ever been in a space in a place where I had writer's block to the point that I couldn't write at all.
Hmm.
But then I don't write every day either.
Yeah.
I only write when it calls to me. So
So you're so inspiring with like how fluidly you do write and how little you get writer's block. So tell us what in your chart what makes you so prolific as a writer. I mean, I know, but people watching might not know.
Well, you tell me what you think it is, and I'll see if I agree.
Okay, well, I think it's definitely having 5 planets in Aquarius, which makes you super airy, and then you also have Mars and Neptune in Libra, so that makes the connection with other people, like in journalism, like connecting with one other person would be like very Libran. But I feel like the Aquarius, you just have so much air in your blood, like you're so oxygenized in your blood that you think of ideas constantly, and you have a Mercury Venus conjunction in Aquarius. So you have Mercury in Aquarius, which is a very verbose Mercury. I mean, from what when I get emails from Mercury and Aquarius people, like they spend paragraphs to saying something that like another Mercury
That's
would say.
not me.
Really?
No, that's where my Mercury Saturn mutual reception comes in. That what I learned as a journalist was how to take complex ideas and synthesize them and reduce them to something that anybody could understand if they were reading it. Because to be honest, like I don't like um, writers who can't get to the point.
Interesting.
But I do think that's my Saturn and Virgo. Like, why do you need to waste all that? Can't you say what you need to say? Like, if it's a complex idea and it takes time to explain it, yeah. The other thing my plants and Aquarius don't like is a lot of repetitiveness,
Mm,
and in the sense of don't keep you don't need to tell me the same thing over and over again.
hmm hmm
Which is of course part of as I studied astrology and I began to realize that you can start with keywords, but that's just a beginning. It's not the whole enchilada.
hmm
That there's well, we know how complex astrology is, and so I like people who know how to write,
mm.
and I won't name any names, but there are some people on the planet who should have hired somebody to write for them.
You savage.
Well, only because, like
Well, it's
this,
true though. It's
trying
so
to defend why I think that way. It's just my personal preference. And possibly it's because, when you have to write in a small space and you don't have thousands and thousands of words to express an idea, you got to get to the point.
true.
And that's where Saturn Mercury really comes in handy because it can take something and find the most effective way to say it.
Well, I think actors have writers all the time, right? Like if every actor had to write their own screenplay, like that's just I mean, some actors are writers and producers, but a lot of them someone writes for them. And so I think there are a lot of people who someone writes for them, and on comedy shows there's comedy writers and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I always wished, I'd thought about maybe trying that out at some point. Script
Oh
writing.
yeah. I mean, there's you still can. I mean, you're still young. Okay, so
Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that.
oh, you're welcome. Um, but also, like, I do really like your aura's bopping. So I feel like you'll be around for a long time. Okay, so is there a favorite story you have from when you were a journalist, like a weird case or a story that stands out?
Well, a couple. Well, there are some. And, I remember Dr. Benjamin Spock. I don't know if anybody remembers who he is, but he wrote a baby care, a book about taking care of babies and being a mother and blah, blah, blah in the 50s. And it was in late 1975 when I was uh, 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 about 6 or 7 months pregnant with my first child. And he was coming to Edmonton. There was a group bringing him in. And I think he was maybe the first famous person that I met. At least he's the first one. And it turns out that in the 20 years or more since he'd written his book, I was the first pregnant woman to ever interview him.
Yeah, that's funny. That's so meta.
And it was I was so frustrated at the time though because he was such an interesting person and he had such a great energy. But these people would not leave me alone to interview him, and they wanted to chime in, which I did not appreciate.
Wait,
And
who are these people?
Oh, the part of the group that brought him in. And so, they were just like, he's a famous person. And I'm thinking, yeah, I have to interview him. And part of my interview shouldn't include having to deal with you fawning all over him.
You
Well,
needed security.
no, I needed, well, I do, I wanted a one on one and I'm not getting it. And anyway.
Yeah,
And then the other one that I remember, uh, I mean, I was always blessed to make really good connections with the people I was interviewing, and that's partly because I was actually interested in them. They weren't just a story to me; they were a human being.
mm.
Geez, now I can't remember his name. His first name is John Brad John Bradshaw, the first guy who started talking about dysfunctional families.
Mm.
And it's funny because this is an aside. This has actually happened before I interviewed him. Sorry about that. I seem to be doing that a lot lately.
We'll edit it out. We'll get our editor on it. Just
Oh, okay. Okay, well, it's just hard to talk when I sound like I'm auditioning to be on the Muppets.
kidding. Here, I'll clear my throat too.
And I probably need a glass of water, and I don't have one.
Go get yourself some water, little missy.
Um, sorry, I just
Ahem, ahem, ahem.
as you can tell, I lived a blighted childhood because stuffies of any kind, I don't care if it's Randy Savage, show up. It makes me laugh. So, anyways, prior to my actually interviewing him, my mother had taped all of these shows on PBS where he's talking about the dysfunctional family. And, and one of the things I remember was him saying, people think you get together and two halves make a whole. He said, but if you look at it from an algebraic point of view, a half times a half equals a quarter. So, anyways, I watched all these shows, and she said to me, "So, do you think your family is?" Well, she never would have said "fucked up." She would have died before she said that. Messed up or something, and I said yes, and that was the end of the discussion. Like, anyway, so I can't remember how many years later it was that I had the privilege of interviewing him. And so I was told I had 20 minutes to talk to him because I was interviewing him on the phone. And I said, 20 minutes? That's not enough. So I'm talking to him. And by this time, he'd been interviewed by a huge number of um, journalists. And we get talking, and he said to me, you're actually the first person that actually read my book. I said, are you serious? Like, it would never have occurred to me that I would not prepare myself. I
Wow.
mean, did I read the whole book? No, but I read most of it. So I
Wow.
would know what I was talking about. So therefore, in my mind, you did a cursory interview with him and you really weren't interested. You were just told by your editor that you needed to do this.
What was he famous for?
Well, just he was on the at the beginning part of when we started talking about codependency.
Okay. Okay.
And so he did all those series of shows on PBS, and then wrote a book about the dysfunctional family and how most families are dysfunctional.
Hmm.
Because I mean, honestly, I think dysfunction's a part of life. I don't. The only question is, are you going to acknowledge your dysfunction and do something about it?
Well, we got all these rogue charts having babies. I mean, like it's just some of the people. I mean, some of the charts of parents out there are just bananas. I mean, let's be real. And then the kids charts are bananas too.
Well, but people's charts are bananas.
I know. It's like that's why the creator created this dysfunction. Really.
Well, okay, so it leads to the whole philosophical question of why are we here? Well, for me, if it could be as simple as we're here to experience things,
Mm-hmm.
And how are we going to do that except in a world of duality,
Mm-hmm.
where you have opposites and, well, oppositions and quincunxes, and we're going to do astrology here, um, because humans have been making the same choices for centuries.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how many times has human history in human history have humans found themselves at war with each other, and decide that rather than finding a solution to whatever the issue is, they will fight to the death,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
or they will, um,
Yeah.
the whole. I mean, that's a whole big topic.
Yeah.
Big.
Debbie,
Uh,
do you identify with Leslie? Because you guys have like three of the same outer planets, or two. You guys have two of the same outer planets. I think you're different Uranus generations, but yeah. Do you identify with Leslie? I'm so curious. Um, well, okay, I have to know
why don't you?
what
I
put
said,
put her on the
put
spot.
her on the spot. Why don't you?
Debbie's part of our crew. She consents to me on the spot. She's one of our actors.
Oh well, there you go.
She's great. She does great. She yeah. Anyway, so okay, let me ask you this. How is writing for journalism different and or similar than writing a talk show?
Well, and well, in some ways, like, it's interesting you said that. Here's another story. I remember being assigned, going to do a series of stories on marriage, and we would like you to write about finances.
Mm,
Jesus, could it be any more boring? Like budgeting and shit like that.
mm,
So, anyways, of course, I had, fortunately, by that time, developed a series of contacts, and I turned to one of them because of her expertise. And she was the one who said to me, and it speaks to the second house in astrology. She said, and because we assign money to that, and she said, well, it's all about what you value. People run into problems with money because they don't value the same thing. And so, of course, the story that they were looking for is not the story that they got.
mm, mhm,
Um, so
mm,
so they are connected in the sense that I tend to follow my gut. I know what it's like to create content, because even if you get an assignment, it's still up to you,
mhm,
to take that assignment. And I tended to create a lot of my own,
mm,
because I was writing about color and palmistry and stuff like that in the early 90s at a newspaper, that if I was asked to appear on any other media in Edmonton as an astrologer, I could not say I worked for the Edmonton Journal, even though I'd had many columns with my picture on it. So it's not like people wouldn't know, but I was not allowed to identify that I worked for the Edmonton Journal if I was going to talk about astrology. And one of the people I worked with once said to him, well, I just don't know how you can believe in astrology. And I said, and I don't know how you can believe that when you flip a switch, a light is going to come on. I said, it's not the same thing. I said, it's absolutely the same thing.
And when people are like, I don't believe in women's studies. I don't believe in anthropology. It's like so dumb. It's like, I don't believe in astrology. I'm like, there's thousands of astrology books on the shelf. Like, you have to believe in it because it's real in the minds of man. Like, what? Oh my God, Casu's here.
Oh,
Hey,
I know, no, 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 but I mean, and well, it's not scientific. Well, what do you think science is in the first place? Its purpose is to help us understand things we don't understand, that we don't know about. Astrology does exactly the same thing. It
oh my God. Hey, Kazri, have you met Leslie before? She runs a show called Astro Soup. Sorry, you got some people in the chat here. Not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Um,
Oh my God.
what?
He said, sorry, not sorry. I said, oh my God.
My God, Kazri hasn't met you before. Well, I think so you're saying that, well, that's actually profound to me that being a journalism is being a content creator, and being a talk show host is being a content creator. And a lot of people don't think about this, that the fact that being an astrologer is actually being a content creator. Like, you're having to come up with ideas for people to chew on. And so what does that even mean to you to be a content creator? What does that mean?
Well, first of all, you know how much I hate labels, so that's
Do you identify as a content creator?
I don't know. Anyway, uh,
You sure are cute though.
oh, thanks, Randy. I needed that.
Hmm. That's called the Italian. When you put one part of your body in the camera, that's the shot. It's called the Italian.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I can do that.
Do the Italian. Good Italian. Put your ear in the shot. Put your ear in the shot. Oh, good. Good
I
Italian.
can't. I don't like it because I can't see it. Oh, by the way, I did, and just for those people who were asking what my favorite colors, I got a new pair of glasses that are really purple.
Oh. Oh yeah, it's one of your favorite colors.
So I don't know why I had to say that, but hey, I'm allowed. That's what happens when you have 7 planets in air signs, because one sub and especially 5 of them are in Aquarius, because the two things do not need to be connected anywhere but in my brain.
Okay, tell us, do you identify as a content creator?
You're just not going to let that go, are you? I
No.
guess so.
I want
Um, I identify as Lesley. That's what I identify.
Oh,
I identify as a master astrologer. I identify as an author. I guess I will now claim content creator. Does that make you happy?
yeah, that makes me.
Thank
I have to
you.
tell you, I don't know if I've told you this, but one of the predictions you made in the reading you did for me has come entirely true.
What was it? I don't remember.
Well, I asked you, I was like, what am I going to be doing with astrology in the upcoming year? And you're like, you're going to be doing more teaching.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I did. It just kind of just went past. I didn't really think much of it. Well, now I'm teaching 6 days a week all of a sudden, and like starting a whole school. I'm like, it's just you really got you got a psychic A+ for that reading.
Well, thank you. But I knew that you did not greet that piece of information with anything approaching anticipation.
No, I was just like,
Why are you saying that to me?
yeah, I know, but you do get a
You know,
psychic.
the interesting thing about it, and that's, you know, like if to me, if you're going to practice astrology uh, with humans, because not everybody practices astrology with humans, they don't. Um, if you're not actually interested in people, then you probably shouldn't be doing that. Because a lot of what happens for me is that information didn't come from me; it came from you.
Hmm.
And I must say that with that Moon Jupiter opposed Pluto aspect I have across my descendant, really, I've been always blessed that people trust me and
Hmm.
will share with me the things that are important to them, whether it's on a conscious level or on another frequency.
Hmm.
I don't think we do that easily. And I've told you this before. I think we are multi-frequency beings. We just don't know it.
Hmm.
And if you want to open up to those things, like I'm happy that I was the channel for some information that would give you some time to prepare yourself.
My God, I'm going to teach you a thing or two now. No, I'm just
Okay, go for it. You'll have the opportunity. You have lots of opportunities to do that.
okay. I have a question for you, which is, tell us about your article for the Mountain Astrologer, because you're still writing,
Yeah.
and you're about you. So tell us about the article that's going to come out in that.
Well, it'll be coming out. Well, they've been most of the stuff is online now, but they're doing collector's editions, and they did one around Christmas time on the moon, which I purchased, and it was very good. It was very good compendium, um, excellent articles, um, and so the one I'm writing for is the one that will be published around UAC, and it'll be a physical collector's edition. At least that's what I think it is. I've been told that. And and if it doesn't end up there and it ends up, no, I'm just kidding. No, I said to Frank Clifford, who's now the publisher of the Mountain Astrologer, I said, well, it'd be good cross pollination for you and for me.
Isn't
Anyway,
Frank coming on Astro Soup soon?
yes, on May the 17th. But
Yeah.
let me finish it. So I haven't told you. So it's called the why of relationship. So looking at what makes up why it is you choose the relationships that you choose and what the purpose of that might be.
Mm, oh,
Because
interesting.
when we look at the seventh house, the descent, we always think about the who, the what, the where, the when, and the how, but we don't always ask why.
Hmm,
Why?
interesting.
So, for instance, like um, I have the five planets in Aquarius. If we're talking Placidus, or go from the sixth into the seventh, if we're talking about whole sign, they're obviously all in the seventh. Uh, Understanding not what that describes, but what its purpose is, which is the why,
Mm,
might be helps you, I think, grow and not find yourself stuck in a pattern.
mhm,
Because we know that, I mean, it's funny that we don't always think that astrology describes patterns by the houses, the signs, the planets, the aspects, the chart itself, but we don't think about what kind of a pattern does that actually create in our lives.
mm,
At
interesting.
least that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it.
Nice. Okay, so that's exciting. So we should look out for your article in the UAC edition of Mountain Astrologer.
Yeah, I don't know what the title of it is, but I'll be keeping people posted after I go to Norwich. I have to rush home and write that thing.
Interesting. So tell us, what are you speaking about in UAC?
Reclaiming retrogrades.
Okay, interesting. So, wow, that's going to be a very busy time for you. Is you're
Oh,
teaching at UAC and you have an article coming out.
well, yeah, but I have to have the article to them by the middle of June, and so here's what happens for
So
me.
you'll
What?
start writing in the beginning of June, is what I hear.
Yeah, and maybe probably writing the 2 days before it's due.
Because you're crazy.
No, I just have the capacity. That's why, I think the journalism suited my temperament quite nicely,
Yeah,
because I had enough independence, but I was part of a structure until I wasn't part of that structure. Because
yeah.
and my I do have a sun trine Uranus. It's just out of sign
Oh,
because
nice.
it's Sun in late Aquarius and Uranus at 1 degree of Cancer.
Okay, so then another piece about your writing. Do you want to tell us about the book you're writing?
You
The,
mean about my mystery
yeah,
novel?
your mystery novels. Tell us about that.
Well, I'm a little loath to do that, only because I don't want anybody to steal the idea.
Okay.
However, I will say, so I will tell you what the inspiration for it was, and that will give you some sense of how it begins. So I I tend to notice things when I'm driving, especially if they happen to be on the road. And so for a long time, every time I saw either a shoe or a piece of clothing in the middle of the road, I would always wonder, how did that get there? And what would cross my mind is, yeah, that would probably make an interesting mystery novel or a book. And so it's almost a year ago. I think I was traveling. Yeah, I was traveling to my massage therapist's house, and I saw this sneaker in the middle of the road. And what stood out to me about it is it looked brand new. And I
Mm.
thought, how did that end up in the middle of the road? And so, not even a conscious thing. I never thought, yeah, that's I'm gonna. That night, I sat down as I was going to bed and I wrote the prologue, and that's how it got started. So the shoe. So I'll tell you a little bit about what's so. And of course, this is going to take place in Edmonton because that's what it because that's
Eddie
where I
Savage's shoe.
wondered what the hell is that? How come it's not pink?
That's just a good question.
I'm sure he wouldn't be caught dead in a pair of pink shoes, but what?
I don't know.
what
It's pretty flashy, honestly.
so, so the beginning of the story has the shoe, sitting in the middle of the road in a residential area, and it looks like there's nothing until you get up close and there's a foot in it.
Like a person's foot?
Mhm.
That's gross. Where's the person? Where's the
What?
person? Where's the person?
Well, if it helps you any, the person, um, the purpose of that is so the premise is that this young man has wondered what happened to his mother because she went missing 20 years before. And not, a typical missing person case. I couldn't find any trace of her. And she was originally from somewhere in Central America, and she was a nanny. Anyway, so the foot in the shoe has nothing to do with that. It's just to get the police's attention.
Hmm.
And then it's followed up by three other objects put in the same place, and this time with crime tape around them.
Hmm.
And it turns out that the son is now studying to be a pathologist.
I think you have the rings in the hands of a mystery novel writer. I'm serious. Doesn't Leslie, don't her hands just look like she would write a mystery novel? I mean, I don't know.
I
It's
don't know, and I don't know. Should we get a lineup of mystery writers to see who's got hands and what our hands look
like
like?
you
I
just look kind of cool and mysterious and like you're
so it I'm relaunching the podcast because I've been doing some recalibrating and facing my own fears um, about. And it's funny because we always have different perceptions about who we are. So my perception is always I'm stuck in a corner and nobody sees me,
hmm,
which is just not true.
mhm.
Just not true. As you have frequently reminded me, and other people have reminded me. But we live based on our own perception of who we are and where we're at, not always based on how other people see us. And lots of times until, say in the last 20, 30 years, did it become like a good thing to tell people how you see them,
Hmm.
right? So called positive mirroring as opposed to projection.
Hmm.
So yeah, just trying to work through that. So I just checked in with the characters in my book last night, and they're all doing their thing because
Nice.
they really are. They're like being. I mean, they just don't have a physical body.
Hmm.
And it's funny because I didn't always realize that. I always thought it was that something that you made up in your head until you realize that when a story presents itself, it's like a download. At least that's what it is for me. That's what my
Yeah.
writing is often a download.
Interesting. So Debbie has a question for you, which is Leslie, do you write books that resonate with your life experience?
Well, it's funny because it reminds me of a letter that I once got when I was working at the Journal because I wrote about the things that really mattered to me. Um, growing, changing, relationships, family. Um, I had a column called Scruples where I went out and asked people ethically challenging questions. So and yet this person seemed they wrote me this letter and it seemed they obviously knew that I was sharing my life and I didn't know that. But I wrote about the things that reflected what was transpiring in my life. And even, the sun sign books reflected my experience with sun signs, not always just a mental thing, but I don't know how else to explain it. I think that, as I said before, my writing isn't just a mental thing, it's also a heart thing.
Hmm.
And it's probably the one thing that actually connects the two at times, plus
Hmm.
astrology.
Hmm.
I
Interesting.
don't know if that answered Debbie's question or not, but
Um, I think it did. Okay, so we have 4 minutes. We can either go into what's going on with Astro Soup, or is there anything you want us to know about your writing years as a writer and a journalist? Anything that we should know?
um, well, it had quite a number of difficulties attached to it. Uh, I just, when I was younger, I didn't really understand how that when you have five planets and an Aquarius, you're going to be a catalyst, whether you want to be or not.
Hmm.
And so, and Pluto on your ascendant can have some interesting effects. So I didn't always feel connected and to my environment, but it gave me such a great place to learn some things about myself that I didn't know. And I think that that's what most of life is, if we're paying attention, is that our experiences give us an opportunity to know more about ourselves, which naturally leads me to the podcast because, where I started and where I am now is, it's opened me up in a lot of ways that I'm a little bit challenged by. Uh, only because, Pluto on the ascendant isn't really excited about revealing itself. And yet, you look at the balance of my chart, and that's what I'm here to do. It's part of why I'm here. And so, what's going to be happening with Astro Soup is I'm cutting back the number of episodes, but I'm going to be doing more reels and more stories on social media that allow me to focus on specific parts of the astrological cycle or offer up an idea or two about this or that, but so that the podcast itself feels a little bit more organic, and not that it won't have a structure, but I found that I could create a lot of content and there wasn't space for it all,
Hmm. Yeah,
right? And I
absolutely.
and you know how good I am at a hook, and so I don't like to let things go if it's emerged from my consciousness. It's like that's mine. I like it. I want to play with that some more.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, well, with our last minute here, tell us where to find Astro Soup.
Oh, for God's sakes, it's on YouTube. Oh,
Okay, you can YouTube search. I'll tell you because I know where to find it. Astro Soup Lesley Francis, and you'll find the channel.
yeah,
And there are many episodes there. Basically, what Lesley does is she always does what's in the bowl. So she does episodes for every, ingress. Every time the sun goes into a different sign, she does episodes for that sign. And then what's in the bowl is kind of like what's going on astrologically. I love to get my astro news from Astro Soup as far as what planets are making what aspects in the next 2 weeks or so. So that's kind of, and then she has guests on. Sometimes it's a variety show. There's different segments. It's very fun. There's people in the audience, although she'll be switching to live stream at some point. But yeah, check out Astro Soup YouTube. Astro Soup Lesley Francis. Thank you, Debbie, for being here. I hope that you and Lesley meet someday. Lesley has been threatening to come to our production meetings. Well, Debbie is one of the on the production team, so yeah. So maybe you'll meet her there. Lesley, thank you, my dear. It was so good to get to know you a little bit more.
well, it was enjoyable. I told you, if you invite me to talk, I'm more than happy to do that.
Always, as we're growing you, we get to know more about you. So, all right, we'll see
Well,
everyone later.
okay, bye.
Bye.